Greg, would you want AB on your team at this point?
Absolutely. It's not even a question.
No?
There's not even a question. When I look at the production, and again, we talk about this often, the production, does it outweigh what I'm getting involved with? Absolutely. And what tells me that? I look at these 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and they're not just subpar numbers. They're not. They're better than most receivers' 6 seasons of their best. 6 seasons of their best. That's the type of production you get out of an Antonio Brown. Will he make an offense better? No doubt in my mind. There's teams that will look at this situation and say, you know what? He can make us better. Several teams, the Niners being one of them. The Raiders potentially. The Green Bay Packers need another receiver. A receiver that can take on and be a big play guy.
Can you imagine catching the ball from Aaron Rodgers?
When I
yeah,
even,
you can.
Exactly. The New Orleans Saints. They need another option. These are teams that Antonio Brown is one of those talents that you don't run into every so often. He's a special, unique talent. And everyone wants to make it out to be, and I've said he needs to dial back on some of the things that he's doing. But when I see a player asking for a trade, it's more than just what meets the eye. It's beyond just the surface things of, there's conflict or there's something going on within that locker room. Le'Veon Bell sitting out a full year, foregoing $14 million and some odd change and not playing. Something's going on in Pittsburgh that is still there that Antonio Brown doesn't want to deal with anymore. Le'Veon Bell is like, I don't want to deal with it anymore. They're going to have to figure it out without Antonio Brown. And another thing, the production side of it. You look at Antonio Brown on the football field and you say, man, he's going to give me 1,000-yard season every single time and 100 catches every single year. Well, that's with him on the – and then you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, and everybody's so excited about Juju. I love what I see out of Juju. I think he's going to be a great player in this league. But he's the player that he is right now because of Antonio Brown. Let's not misunderstand that. A lot of those guys – and you will be asking a James Conner to add more to his load, Jesse James, tight end, Vance McDonald to add more to his load, James Washington, a young rookie that they just acquired, and a Ryan Switzer to produce more, and a Ben Roethlisberger to carry even more of the load. That's a lot of load because you're losing a lot of production, and those shoes, although you feel like, and every team has to move on from players from time to time, but when a player like this wants out, it's not a good look on the organization and what's going on in that locker room.
Will that coverage shift over to Juju, right?
It's gonna shift over to Juju, and then will he be able to put up those numbers that we saw him put up this year?
I agree with just about everything you said. I mean, Antonio Brown obviously is a tremendous player. I would want him on my team. If I'm the team that's going to trade for him, though, and I think Pittsburgh would be amenable to you talking with him first. And I think you need, I say this somewhat softly, to lay down the law. And you're not going to, I don't mind him being who he is. His personality, the furs, heck, even a helicopter. If you want to take a helicopter to training camp or whatever, that's on you. But I would want certain things like when we're in training camp, you're with the team. The whole thing in Pittsburgh was, obviously you get rid of the videotape and Facebook Live and all that in the locker room.
You know what?
You lay down, you tell him certain things that you expect of him. Because the reports are that in Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin would say, as long as the production outweighs the distractions, we'll put up with it. Once you start soft, you can't go hard as a coach because the players will see it as phony. That's not really you. I think if a coach starts hard, and again, not offensive, you respect Antonio as a man, but this is how we do it here. And if he's amenable to that and agrees to that, I can always get softer. But I want to start hard with him and let him know what we're trying to do. I would want him on my team so much that if I'm Pittsburgh, I think there would be one inkling of hope. All right, and there's not a lot because the owner gave an olive branch. some players gave out olive branches, and Antonio wasn't listening to that. I don't know if he's tried to reach out, but Ben Roethlisberger, you are about to lose one of the best receivers in the league, a guy you have a great connection with on the field. You need to humble yourself and call Antonio Brown. Try to set up a meeting, man to man, face to face. Hear him out.
That ship sailed.
It's gone.
He can't do it.
It's
There's
gone.
no way.
That ship is
So
sailed.
if he tries to reach, has he tried?
It's gone.
He can't reach out.
It's gone. He can reach out.
Antonio wouldn't hear it.
It's too late for that. It's too late for that. When you look at the New England Patriots and you look at Julian Edelman and you look at Tom Brady, that's the relationship that receivers want with their quarterback. Simple. It's not. Julian Edelman is this great receiver, but he has a greater relationship with his quarterback, not just on the football field, off the football field. And I'm not saying you have to be buddy,
right.
and you got to be best friends, and you got to be flying together. I'm not saying all of that, but it has to be real off the field in order for it to continue to work on the field. And that's what's not there in Pittsburgh. Everyone wants to make it seem like Ben Roethlisberger has extended this olive branch and has reached out and is willing to do that. That's not always true.
You just
But
mentioned.
if he did it, Antonio wouldn't hear it.
No.
You mentioned the New England Patriots. It would never happen where they would make a trade, but AB would fit in because he's so good with the video camera stuff. So that would work in New England.
Stop.
He would fit in many. Like,
But I want to say
I'd
this.
love to see him there, but it won't happen.
It won't happen. But I'm with you. A guy of his production, I'm going to make any effort to add a player of that caliber to my team. I just am. And I'll look at that 15 touchdowns in 15 games, which is 6 straight years of 1,000 yards. I mean, that's the kind of guy who's a game changer.
Yes.
You're not adding somebody in who you're like, well, we'll see. No. He immediately gets attention. He immediately is going to open up the field for other people and other things we want to do. And I think when you look at Pittsburgh, I'm with you. It's closed. The door is closed there. He needs to move on, and he needs to get to a spot where people will embrace him. And that baggage, if I'm another team, I say that was in Pittsburgh, and I don't know all the other interworkings like you brought up. Le'Veon had an issue there. Ben had some issues with some teammates or whatever. I'm going to let him come here and let him – I hear what you're saying about let him know what we expect here. But other than that, you come here to play football. We want you to be productive. Obviously, if he crosses the line or does something that – then I'll just decide we're going to move on. But I'm going to give him that respect of you're a great football player. We brought you here to play football. Whatever happened in the past is the past. We're looking forward to what you can deliver for us as we move forward.
With all that has happened with Antonio Brown, have we heard any of his teammates talk about what a bad teammate he is or how bad he is for the locker room? No, we have not heard that. We've not heard that one time. And it's because when you meet Antonio Brown, great personality, vibrant, he's a good young man. Now, I'm not saying he's everything that everybody wants to be and aspire to be. I'm not saying all of that.
Why do the receivers get such a bad rap?
The receivers get a bad rap because immediately Antonio's one of those guys, he likes to look good. He likes to be that's who
flashy.
he is. He's flashy. So he fits that mode of diva receiver. But what people don't understand is to fit that mode of diva receiver or to have this type of perception, you got to be one of the hardest working guys in the business. And that's what he is. Every single day, getting up early. It doesn't matter how late he's out or late he's up, working out every single morning. Odell Beckham, same way. Like, they understand what's really important. And you will take that on your team because you value that. And when I look at Antonio Brown and the production that he can provide, a lot of teams out there, they're going to look at this situation and say, I'll take him.
So, Greg, when he missed that last game, he had to be cut deep for him not to be a part of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that where the situation in Pittsburgh really severed for him? Because if he really cares and works hard and puts in all his energy for him not to come to a game, that had to be the part where he got severed, where he said, I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it has to do with he's frustrated with just the situation that he's in and the relationship that he has with his quarterback. Because he's producing all of these numbers and he doesn't have a great relationship with his quarterback. And that's the misconception that most receivers have this great relationship with their quarterback. And it's just not the case. And regardless of how much we call receivers divas, quarterbacks are just as much divas.
We call you a diva on this show because he's trying to deal with you.
You know what I mean?
Athletes are divas.
I can say that. I mean, but when you have a sense of pride about what you can provide in any situation, this show or your employer, it doesn't matter. You're going to carry yourself a certain way. It may look different from person to person, but as long as you're doing your job, who cares? And that's when Antonio Brown, what he can provide. I look at even the Colts, a situation with Andrew Luck and Antonio Brown, and
he did great there.
I mean, there's a lot of teams that are going to really have to assess. And again, the draft is coming, it's looming, so you're going to look at guys that you can potentially get at a lower number, but Antonio Brown's going to be a lot of radar.
That's the